Welcome to another episode of That's What's Up 2.0. Turks and Caicos, welcome wherever you're listening, Facebook, in your car, on your way home. We have a special evening for you tonight. We have the Deputy Premier with us this evening, and we have the Honorable Kyle Knowles, Representative for Wheeling, Minister responsible for Public Safety and Utilities. And of course, Honorable Deputy, I forgot your portfolio there, Minister responsible for Planning and Infrastructure. So we're going to get it going. But before we start, I do want to give apologies for the Premier. He was supposed to be on the show this evening, but due to another engagement, he was unable to make it. So we're going to get right into the discussions this evening. We have two guests, two of my favorite PNPs here, and I just want to get it going right away. So Honorable Deputy Premier, new Honorable Deputy Premier, not too long now, I think about 2 weeks. You want to speak a little bit about your transition so far?
Thanks, Ralph, and good evening, Turks and Caicos. Good evening, PNPs. Good evening, residents, all those listening via our Facebook platform. My first appearance here on the reboot. This is what's up, and I think the last 2 weeks it's been a bit of a whirlwind, because for whatever reason, I'm not sure what it is, because I didn't have any particular ministerial change. So I kept my ministry as is, but I added the portfolio of Deputy Premier, or the office of Deputy Premier. But it just feels like things are happening quickly, because these 2 weeks, it's been a blur. And I'm not sure if it's just, okay, we're at the end of the financial year, which we are closing, so there's a lot of that work. But other than that, I think I'm going to be settling in pretty okay into the role, because again, I think as deputy, my main role is to support the premier to carry out the agenda of our party and complete the citizens contract as best as we can before the next general election. I think also I will have a little bit more responsibility to ensure that all ministers and MPs, we carry out our job. So being second in command now, I think it'll be okay.
Good to hear. Good to hear that you're getting in and getting accustomed and getting comfortable rather quickly. I guess the benefit of being already in cabinet already helps with, the transition kind of going smoothly and not really a new way of life for you. But on the flip side, Honorable Knowles, Minister responsible for Public Safety and Utilities. Same question I have for you. How's your transition been? I mean, coming from just being an MP, some people would call it a backbencher. I just like to say MP. But how does it feel for you now coming into a ministerial role? What's your transition been like so far?
I can definitely say that it's been a whirlwind. When you think about the role of an MP in comparison to the role of that of a minister, a cabinet minister, two different worlds. Because of course, while as a member of parliament, you're tasked with the legislative agenda. Being a cabinet minister gives you the opportunity to dive a bit deeper into those things. So again, it's a huge learning curve. Be it that I now have a ministry all to myself, and getting that off the ground. Getting getting things properly set up. That itself comes with different challenges, but that's why I'm here. To tackle those challenges as we move forward. But it's a wonderful opportunity, especially they always tout, I'm the youngest MP. Now I'm the youngest cabinet minister. So that in itself helps to just push the agenda and gives us an opportunity to really achieve those goals that we always talked about now becoming reality.
And speaking about youth, and I guess both of you guys are, Honorable Robinson, you got a little bit more gray on you than Honorable Knowles, but you guys are both
2 grades. Only 2 grades. But yeah, go ahead.
But you guys are both young ministers, a young deputy premier. Just speak very briefly as to what it means for the premier to put confidence in the youth. I mean, there's a lot of young people watching this evening and want to know, like, okay, would I have an opportunity in politics or, and all of that? But what does it mean for the premier to see that confidence in you, both of you? Just if you want to explain that to explain that for the youth's sake.
Well, for myself and I guess generally speaking, I think I don't know if persons remember, like, things come up on your timeline, but someone showed me a picture of a show that we did on the campaign, which was basically called Millennials in Cabinet, which was hosted by Mr. Miguel Swan, who happens to now be the permanent secretary for the deputy governor's office. Honorable AK was a guest. I was a guest, and Honorable Knowles was a guest.
Wow.
Now, we were manifesting that we'd be millennials in cabinet. Now, the manner in which it came about, you can't necessarily say the route you would get there, because as persons would know, I would have become the 8th minister 6 months in. So it would have started with Honorable AK, then I would have joined, and then now Honorable Knowles has joined the ranks of being a millennial in cabinet. And I think this is it's just a testament to the Progressive National Party and our leader embracing the youth, and not only embracing us in word, but like embracing us in the present, because we always say, all right, well, the youth or the children are the future. This is P&P in action in real time, giving young people, even though I ain't as young as everybody, like you say, get a grades here and there, but this is in real time, right?
Yeah.
And it's not like all of our other colleagues aren't young or young at heart as well. So the Progressive National Party has always been a youthful, progressive party. So I think it bodes well. And it's not us just saying, okay, well, come and join us. We have an interest in the youth. This is us demonstrating by our selections in the elevation. Again, Honorable Knowles, everybody would know, has been a hard worker getting into becoming an MP for Wheeling and West Caicos, but also his time for the last 3 years as MP for Wheeling and West Caicos. You would see him out there straight through, always interacting, always engaged with his community. So this isn't something that is a shock to many people. It wasn't an if. It was more of a when. And, you know, again, you can't dictate the circumstances in which your opportunity comes, but you have to embrace it. And I think Honorable Knowles will do well embracing this opportunity. I think he will make a great minister presently and into the future.
Definitely. More manifestation.
I would call it.
And just to piggyback off of what the deputy said, I think, you know, when we think about legacy building, when we think about wisdom, when we think about imparting knowledge, I think, you know, the premier in his own right, you know, saw this as an opportunity to guide us through this process, because, and I want to be clear, you know, a lot of times, you know, we don't know what the future holds, and it's important to prepare yourself for what those opportunities look like. But it's also important to make sure that the person or the individual who is going to, or the person or the individual who you want to see, who you see as your leader or who is going to be guiding you, also has the wisdom and the knowledge to impart into you. So when those, you know, when things change, you would have been well prepared. So I think, you know, speaking to that in perspective of the PNP party, historically it has shown, you know, very aggressive young nationals matriculating into ministerial portfolios, matriculating into other things, you know, successful business individuals, those persons who are now CEOs and managing directors and, you know, PSs and DepSecs and all of that, starting from a progressive party. So I think it's important for us to look at it from a wide range of different opportunities that the party itself, you know, and again, I must say this, you know, no party is perfect, but I think that the objective and the ideology that we have is conducive to what we want to see our country become, and to make sure that the skills and the talents of the younger generation, and I like to use the term more now, young professionals, are now being tapped into. It might not be as robust as we want it to be, but I can tell you it started.
Amen. Yeah, definitely. The Progressive National Party, the party for the next generation. Shameless plug. But anyway, let's get into some other questions here. I want to speak more to each of your ministries a little bit here. Okay. So I'm going to start with you, Honorable Deputy Premier. Planning and infrastructure. One of the things that has been questioned, I guess, and it's been sort of a thing that everybody's been experiencing, especially here in Providencial, is traffic. You know, build up in the morning, especially coming out of the Blue Hills area. Maybe explain or speak to what is currently in place, what currently you might have that is coming into place, and then what we should expect for the future, the holistic plan as far as to where your ministry is going from an infrastructure point of view overall, but mainly is in regards to the traffic issue that we have here in Providenciales.
All right. So in terms of the traffic issue, clearly this has been a long-term issue that's been vexing government after government, the people for years now, because the blessing that we have is exponential growth, particularly on Providenciales, quickly in terms of all types of infrastructure for a solid 10, 15, 20-year stretch from the late 90s going into 2000s and into present day. So we've been blessed. Now, our job is to catch up with that. So let's look at the Blue Hills issues, the in and out. Now, we've already done a transportation study. So we have initial data and information. We've also have a overall new study that will cover access ways, the spine link programs, all of that stuff, which will take what we have in theory and get us down to the nitty gritty in terms of the scoping, the estimates for the roads, whether it's bridges connecting. So everything we would have done in the theory, now we have a new consultation, which should be closing either tomorrow on the 20th or the 25th, which we're looking to get consultants to give us the details. Because while I know we have great staff in the Public Works Department and the ministry itself, we just don't have enough of them. Because if you think about at the beginning of this year, we had a very ambitious capital project program, which was $56 million. We were looking to expand or at least commit during this year with the same staff, in addition to our community enhancement work, which is pooling on that same staff as well. So with this consultancy, we'll get down to the nitty gritty, but that is the medium to long term to be able to produce those. But what we did in the immediacy, and this tender is closing tomorrow, the 20th of March, is we're going to turn the Millennium Highway from where the Rubus was before it got burnt down into a 2-lane highway. That's the long term, but in the interim, so from that corner straight to the entrance of Bay Road and Blue Hills, that's where we're going to have 2 lanes. Because if you ride that road, and this is where people get into trouble anyway in the morning time, because there's extra space on the shoulder. So sometimes you find people trying to jump on the shoulder and kind of shoot up to get ahead of traffic. Yeah. But that's actually an extra lane. Because if you look at the poles are way off, because Millennium Highway is intended to be a highway. So tomorrow, once we get the good bidders, and we're praying that we get some good bidders to tender on this, we will close on that. And once we can award that, then we will start work from converting Millennium Highway from a 2-lane highway to 4. So that'll be the first phase, because while we introduce that small slip, we have the 2-lane or the 4 lanes where you have one who can turn into downtown and one could go up the highway, right? That help alleviate traffic just temporarily, right? Because again, with the exponential growth we've experienced, what was a solution then isn't a solution now. But now you're basically allowing much more traffic to be able to go on those roads, because if you think about it, that's 4 lanes for maybe like a mile and a half. I'm not sure the exact distance, but a significant amount of road. So you could accommodate more traffic. So the likelihood of having that congestion will reduce. So it might not be perfect right away, but it'll definitely make the situation a lot better getting into and out of Blue Hills in the morning time. And then once we have that first phase, then we get the additional numbers from the other consultancy. Then we'll be in a position to say, all right, well, you just continue carrying it chunk by chunk by chunk and add it on as funding is available. So that's the plan. We've been working on it for a while. I've been in consultation with Honorable Howell, the MP for Blue Hills, who works with us in PPID as my associate member of parliament with my ministry. So he's been on me and us for a while to make sure we get that solution. So this is something that he's been pushing now. You might not see him outside, out in media a lot, but behind the scenes, this is a man at work. And that's one of the things that we're looking to deliver for not only for the people of Blue Hills and Wheeling, but definitely for Honorable Howell, who's been a significant advocate from even before I became the Minister of PPID. So that's something, all things considered, we'll have that solution at least contracted, so we'll see works in the months to come.
Good. Well, it sounds like a lot of stuff is progressing, and I guess it's good to have these conversations because, sometimes things are going on behind the scenes that people aren't really seeing or hearing, and these are the platforms where, just to hear it from the minister himself is always a good thing. So I'll go to you, Honorable Knowles. One of the areas that falls under your ministry would be utilities, and there's been a lot of talking out there in the public or some things that have been posted about a potential request for a rate increase. Maybe if you would just want to speak to where that is so we can have a better clarity as to where exactly that is in the process or what we read in the paper.
So thank you very much for that. And just for this opportunity, just to clear the air a bit. So an application was submitted. Currently, with that application being submitted, it will currently be under review by the commissioner and his team. Now, a lot of persons don't realize that we do have a energy and utilities commissioner who is tasked with this responsibility. So no decision is made just at the strike of a pen. So once the review is undertaken, then we will be in a position to say to the general public, yay or nay. But of course, the review will be properly done. There's no rush to do it, but we have to make sure we can take into consideration all factors at play. So once that is done, then we'll be in a position to determine what the outcome would be.
No, thanks for that clarity, Honorable. I mean, sometimes there's a lot of smoke out there. Things take legs, right? And so it's important to kind of get a better understanding. And to your point there, just the point that you made about there being a commissioner, a utilities and energy commissioner. I don't know if a lot of people fully are aware of that all the time. And so it's very important for that.
Well, I would say one of the things that I look forward to doing as the minister responsible for public safety and utilities is to make sure that persons understand the full function of the ministry and who the key players are, because no one man is an island. And I think, hearing public safety and utilities, there's still a lot of speculation as to what the various portfolios are. So I said to my PS, we have to make sure that we do our best to get that information out there.
So maybe while we're here, maybe give us a little bit of a summary of what you are speaking about now. What is under that umbrella, in essence, under public safety and utility, just in a high level?
So we'd have the Water Undertaking Department, the Energy and Utilities Department, sorry. We'd have the CGIS, which is the Printing Department, the Post Office, Domestic Fire, the prisons or the Department of Corrections, as well as rehabilitation and community services. Okay. So that would sum up the current portfolio that I currently have under public safety and utilities.
Good, great. So if you have, this is your minister responsible, ladies and gentlemen. Any utility concern, water undertaking, anything that you need to know, he's the man that you need to know, because that's very important for the public to know, exactly, especially with, I guess, in essence, there being a split of a ministry in essence. I think this would have traditionally maybe it was kind of split around a few ministries, or was this all previously under Honorable Otis?
All under Home Affairs.
Okay,
Yeah,
all under Home Affairs. So it's
Home
okay.
Affairs, Transportation, and Utilities previously.
Gotcha. No, so it's very important now that because that kind of segregates now what sits on the other side.
Correct, yeah.
So that's good. So while I have the spotlight on you, I will also allow you, Honorable, to speak to a matter in your constituency that's always been a little bit of a matter of concern, the dump. And I know that there's been a lot of work that you've been doing there. So I want to speak more to the things that are happening there, that people may not be aware of. I think there was a great video sent out just about maybe last week sometime that they were speaking about some stuff on there. So maybe if you want to speak about some of that action that's happening there right now.
I think when my time, not speaking that shortly, when my time is done with my political career, I've definitely become an environmentalist, right? But it's important that you ask that question and I get to speak about it every single time, because public education is very important. And I think sometimes we miss those opportunities in trying to get information out to persons just to facilitate a response. So currently there is the fire extinguishing exercise that's currently being done by the CDB. And there's also the new management that's taken by TCI Green. So we have those two ventures actually working simultaneously at the landfill. What persons have to understand is that with work, there are instances where things will transpire, not that they are done maliciously or that they be done out of negligence. It's just a part of the solution, and it's important for me to say that because the solution is not a quick fix because we have to get it right. Yes, it took us some time to get here, but I'm focused on the present, not the past. The past is where we had no clue or no direction in what the outcome would be. Where we are now with the right skill sets and the right level of and the right team in place, I would say, we are properly poised to continuously work at the problem every single day. I can tell you that I have a better working relationship with the current team on the ground. And of course, this is not to exclude the environmental health department. That is the government's representative in this whole in the grand scheme of things. But as the member of parliament for Wheeling, of course, this is my number one priority. I have my finger on the pulse. I can tell people that I am monitoring every aspect of the project every day. I had a PS when I worked in the civil service. She said to me, whenever you're in leadership, it's your responsibility to know what's going on.
Definitely.
So I make it my responsibility to know what's going on. So if I see anything that looks out of the norm, I pick up the phone and I say, hey, what's that? And get me a report within the hour because I need to know. Because the last thing we need is for external mediums trying to distort the good work that we are achieving. And I can tell you, they just the consultants start on the 26th of February and the management company took over on the 5th of March. So when you think about comparison, we're about 2 to 3 weeks relative into the fix. So you can just imagine if we are making these strides currently, where we will be in the next 3, 6 months, 12 months, we would have made significant progress. And again, I want to say that when we think about a solution doesn't always mean infrastructure. Sometimes it can just mean that the problem that persists no longer exists.
Good point.
Okay?
Good point.
So for me, I think that me getting rid of the smoke that puts out these noxious fumes and toxic fumes that hinders my residents from living the kind of lifestyle they want. Once I can get that done in this immediate context, I think we will now move forward with the grand picture, and that in itself will come once the CDB is done with their job, because again, solid waste is not a cheap undertaking. Okay, it's not cheap, but our government, is poised to put whatever monies are necessary into solid waste management. And again, solid waste management, not just for Providence Islands, but for all islands in Turks and Caicos, because it will encompass everything. Okay, we are poised to do just that. So I don't want anybody to think that we are asleep behind the wheel, or that they can just address me on this problem for brownie points. Because it's I'm ready to take you to task, because I know it's my responsibility. And I know what my responsibility is to my constituents.
Good. And I think just to put a last point on it, it's important too. You live there, right? You're a constituent. I don't think you want the problem fixed just as bad as anyone.
No.
For sure.
I honestly don't get secondhand information.
No doubt. Definitely. So, talking about living, and just want to pivot on to another big thing that we in the PNP party has been progressively chasing is housing for their residents, finding affordable housing. Honorable Minister, maybe if you want to speak to what the party has been doing in regards to the citizens contract, and achieving that goal. Of course, that goal is a far-reaching goal. To make sure that housing is affordable and available for all residents. And that would be a goal that would be many years of working on, but maybe speak to where we are in that now.
All right, thanks, Ralph. And this is a baby that I adopted from Honorable AK, but it's my baby now for the last year and change since I took over the
Not that him
role.
and Honorable AK have a baby.
No, talking about the housing initiatives. Yes, sir. Right. So yes. So where are we right now? So of course we would have launched last. I think it was like June. The three housing programs, which would be the developer concessions, the refurbishment, as well as the demolition and community renewal package. So with the mass building of houses, so where we are with that now is we've already passed in cabinet the recommendations for the legislative changes, which will allow developers to be able to leverage Crown land to get the financing they would need to be able to build the large-scale houses, which is a lot of people, which is a lot of people are interested with. So we're very close with that. So we just have to get the, once the AG Chambers comes back with the specific legislative amendments, because what we passed was the recommendations on the what. Now they're working on the actual drafting instructions to bring back to cabinet. Because once we have that in place, then developers who've already submitted various proposals, they'll be in a position to actually move forward. And then we could say, all right, well, we're going to use X amount of acres in this place to make an application. That is 5-10 acres. Then we translate that to building 50 or 100 homes. So we have people are interested. So from a legislative standpoint, that's the last fix. Now, for persons who applied for the housing refurbishment and improvement program, which is program 2, literally, I believe, I don't have the specifics on the cabinet paper or papers yet, but I know we're going to be noting a number of projects tomorrow in cabinet because that's on the agenda. And I'm hopeful that the framework agreement to approve the number of contractors that will be doing the refurbishments on behalf of TCIG will be noted tomorrow, because once that's done, the people from batch 1 that's already been inspected and all that stuff done, they'll be the first up to be able to get their homes refurbished. 'Cause what will happen is all of their BOQs and the requests for quotations from these contractors to be able to start those refurbishments. So once we get that going, then we'll just do batch after batch after batch after that point.
Like clockwork.
Exactly.
Yeah, gotcha.
And then program 3, because again, we already had a number of applicants for that. So what we'll do in the new financial year, we'll be having a capital program to identify who's going to be building their new homes themselves, because those persons who are the most vulnerable, the elderly, maybe disabled, who would have qualified. So we're going to be having the housing committee complete the assessments for those persons, and the early estimates so far is that about anywhere between 13 to 17 persons are likely to qualify from that initial batch of persons. So potentially, once things go according to plan, that could be about up to 17 families with new homes built by the government, free of cost, kind of thing. So it's taken a little bit longer than I would have liked, because we came out the gates hot. We were pushing, but again, the main thing is the framework that we have to get in place for the contractors, as well as just this last legislative change to make it more viable. Because our initial thinking was that, okay, well, once a company can provide their own financing, then they would build it, and we as the government would find the clients for them. So we would do the pre-vetting, which will still happen. So literally, once you have persons in place, that'll be easy to take place and move those 3 programs forward. So I think we're really on the crux, and it's something, again, that we've been working since the reintroduction of the Department of Housing and Community Renewal. So I think we're really, really close, and we're looking to get things rolling as soon as possible.
Yeah, that's good news to hear. I know a lot of people listening like the sound of that news there, because there's definitely a housing matter in the
crisis.
country, a crisis. Yeah,
it is a
people
crisis.
are really looking forward to having ownership, right? I think that's what the Turks and Caicos dream is, ownership
That's
in
definitely
the
the dream.
country for sure. Let me just speak to that first point that you said and just elaborate just a little bit briefly more on leveraging the Crown land. How does that look in regards to what would the government be expecting as far as a mass scale, like 150, 200 houses for a contract of that size?
Well, for that, I think large scale for me is 50 and above.
Okay, so 50 and above.
50 homes at minimum and above. So start with 50, right? And that doesn't mean you would be limited to 50, right? So that just means, okay, well, if you're considering mass scale home development, we need you to be able to produce at least 50, because the idea of it is the more you build, the lower the cost for the end user will end up being. So we want to make sure you can do mass production to bring down the cost as low as possible, so the persons could be there. And it's more than just your traditional standalone family homes that you want to have available. We need tons of apartments on the market. Like literally, we're in the process of looking at a concessions package for developers who have the 5 units or more, which is a part of the policy as well. So those are making its way through the comments to be cabinet papers in the very near future. I literally spoke to my director of housing this morning, and he said, Honorable, there's about 3 papers that we're trying to get feedback from the PS Finance as well as the AG's Chambers, which is the custom. So you have to have your financial advice as well as your legal advice to be able to bring any cabinet paper forward. So that's the thing. So Turks and Caicos Islanders, if you are building apartments and they are 5 units or more, you could apply to the housing committee through the housing department to get those concessions, which would be up to 100% duty free, because we know the market is it's not saturated. It's basically a seller's market right now. Yep. So the supply and demand side, the demand is significantly high. So the only way to adjust that outside of price control specifically in the rental market is to put more supply on the market, because when you hear some of these horror stories for the types of homes you're getting for the prices, it's like, boy, you ain't no hard out there. You ain't no hard. So our thing is to try to get as many units on the thing. So you would have condo options, because maybe you need just a 2-bedroom to start. Right, that could be a transition home. You might not be able to afford right off the bat your perfect 3-4 bedroom home.
True.
Yep. You might be able to afford a nice, lovely 2-bedroom home. That's your start. And as your family grow and as you grow as a professional, then you can afford more. You get an opportunity. You sell that home, keep it in a good condition, to another Turks and Caicos Islander who might be in the same position 5 years from now. Yep. Now you could grow out. So that's a part of, producing and making the Turks and Caicos Islands dream become a reality, because we have persons in need in all economic levels, right? So you need the super affordable housing for some persons, and you need that mid-level, and like Honorable Knowles mentioned earlier, that young professionals, which is a grouping. They got civil servants within middle, senior management, junior management, supervisory level that, making a good income, and, it's going to come in handy with that new pay and grade and increase that those persons have. So we kind of put this, we have had that happen right in time. So when you have to go to now get a mortgage from whichever financial institution you might want, now you could get a little more money. So maybe you could get that 3-bedroom house now rather than a 2-bedroom before we introduce the pay and grading. So all these things tie together. And I think to your point, Ralph, in terms of the explaining to the public, because sometimes they just see things happening one off. This is a part of a master plan that we're piecing all these things together, so you have the opportunity to live your best life. While we might not be able to say, all right, well, we can take you by the hand, carry you to the well, make you drink water, feed the food to you, do all of that. But our thing is make sure water running. You got water accessible. Make sure cows there. Make sure meat there. Make sure fruits there. Again, make sure your fruit. Make sure your veggies there. Make sure your staples there. So everything that you would need to live your best life is available to you. So that's what good governance actually is all about. So creating the opportunities for you to do it. So all we have to do is make sure you have the institutions in place to be able to, thing. And then the last one, before I stop talking, since I'm already on this, that's why, because you gotta tie all these things together. That's why you have free education at the community college.
Yes.
You could retool or tool yourself for jobs that exist. That's why you have the MSME program where you could get up to a $30,000 grant based on your business size. That's why you could get a $10,000 kicker after 6 months of operations, right? That's why you could get $15,000 worth of technical support, plus the hundreds of thousands of dollars of concessions for your business as well. So you're talking about, we already tick off the box where you have access to free education, boom. You have access to finances, boom. We already passed a significant amount of legislation and upgrades on the land stuff. So we're really pushing to get that operationalized in terms of land. Land's being done. And we are really close on housing. If you got land, you got housing, you got education, you got money, man, tell me if that's in your best life.
Sound like a good life to me.
That's what we do.
Yeah, so I know that we're gonna be getting kind of closer to the end here, but I still want to get a few more things in, and I want to get down to, I just want to be a little frank here. Obviously we're getting around that time again. It's been 3 years.
What time?
That time. What do you say, Honorable Knowles, to someone in Wheeling who might be on the fence, who may not know what the Progressive National Party representative is doing in Wheeling, or who may not feel like they feel it, or they need to know more? What would you say to them right now, right here, 3 years in, as their representative, as to, this is where I stand, and this is why I think you should give us another 4 years to continue representing the Wheeling constituency and West Caicos, by the way?
Well, speaking specifically to my constituency, one of the things that I've been keen on, is the level of infrastructure that was lacking initially.
Yep.
The progress that we're making on campaign promises.
Yep.
I think one of the things that, as a young person coming in, or as a young professional coming in, we were cognizant of the fact that certain promises were made and nothing happened. I can point to the campaign promises and the action that was taken behind it. And I think that in itself is a testament to me as an individual, as a resident, as a representative, that I put action behind everything that I had committed to do. Now, the timing of it is not of our own doing, because there are processes to these things. But I became an advocate, to make sure that the commitments that I made to people, doing whatever I could have done within my part and my capability to achieve, were done to the best of my ability. It came with a lot of growth. It was uncharted territory. So I think that in having these conversations with the electorate and breaking everything down, and quantifying it, I think they will be able to see for themselves and make a clear judgment as to what I have been able to achieve. We have more city water going throughout the community. We have more lights. We have sidewalks that are now being expanded throughout the constituency. The dump, like I said, is being done. The level of inward investment, when we talk about the expansion of certain resorts and new resorts coming on, some boutique hotels, the interest in Wheeling has ballooned.
Yep.
When we think about the future, and that would lead me to one of my bigger items, and I'll explain it more at another time, is the Wheeling Master Plan. Okay, and it's not a plan that will exclude the residents of Wheeling, because it encompasses them. One of the things that I did probably about a week ago, I had a small gathering of young professionals, and I simply said to them, this is the plan, and this is how this is how you are going to be a part of the plan. I think one of the things as the government that we want to start doing, or that we need to emphasize on, is how do we get the electorate more engaged in the affairs of our communities? Because I think from a social standpoint, or even from a civic standpoint, there's been so much emphasis on the government, but we have to take into consideration key components:
Yep.
the church, the schools, the communities, the rearing of children, looking at the expansion or the creation of recreation opportunities. You and I know, we've come from the same civic background as the Rotary Club, service above self. So we understand the importance of these things and how it can root out certain evils from our community. So imagine if that one seed is planted, and it is allowed to blossom. Imagine if we start to plant that seed on a continuous basis, throughout the rest of the community. And again, you don't want to get into any misconstrued or devious actions in the sense of, this is what I want for your vote. This is how I want to, I'm going to give you this. That's not the way that I want my community to be seen. I'm not going anywhere. There was a little rumor that I had moved, and I was like, how could I move? I have a mortgage just like everybody else, But I have to say it because, you don't want these things to take root and create unnecessary mischief. But these are the things, in a nutshell, these are the things that when I speak to the electorate and I am able to articulate in a very, normal way, these are the things that we have achieved. I think sometimes we look at achievements as, oh, they put a building over here. Yeah, but what use is that building if nobody uses it?
Yeah.
When you put water in the ground, that means a whole community now doesn't have to worry about water getting to them. When you put lights up and you make sure that the basic infrastructure is in place, children don't have to walk in the road to get to school, right? They shouldn't be walking in the road in the first place. When you think about, the basic things, creating or tapping into or widening roads, people think, oh, these things don't mean anything. But yeah, when you think about a community, these things mean a lot.
Yeah.
Because it helps to shape the community. So basic infrastructure is something that even when I started off, I never really gave it any thought. But when you dive a bit deeper and you look at the certain components or certain gaps in your community, you realize that these are opportunities or these are spaces that need to be filled. And once they're done and done with the right kind of planning, they prove, good dividend at the end of the day. So that's what I would say to anyone who want to, question my ability in what it is that I've done for my community. And again, we'll have an opportunity to speak more.
For sure on that. Yeah, no, definitely. It was just a mouthful there and a lot of stuff to just take in and just some of the little basic things that you said would make a difference. And so I'll pivot that same question to you. And again, this isn't saying put your campaign speech out there, but just to you, Honorable Deputy Premier, what would you say, for anyone watching this evening, about why stick with the PNP, why stay on board the ship, so to say?
Right. Well, you see, I can take a different approach because I've been thinking about this for some time now, right? Particularly recently, right? I think I want to speak specifically to the fair-minded Turks and Caicos Islander out there, eh? Because I think we are the majority. Although it could seem like those persons who always got something to say, got critiquing, no matter what happens in the country, they believe that the sky is falling, right? Literally, the sky is falling in some people's minds, right? Because what I don't want us to do is lose perspective and take things for granted, eh? From where we've come, particularly with this government. No less than 4 years ago, right? And I can speak to specifically to the more stuff about the airport. 4 years ago, around the same time, the then government had to close the airspace down. They went to the wire, but there was no flights. So the same Providencia Islands airport that persons, it overcrowded and this and that and the other, 0 flights, 0 people. No taxi drivers could carry guests. No hotel workers could get tips. No restaurateurs could cook food. You ain't no chef, you ain't no job. Because COVID had shut the country down. So we went from 2019, it's a significant year, a good year, 2020 to almost 0 for months on end. Then we opened up. We won the election. We put in the appropriate measures to protect our people from a COVID-19 standpoint right away. We were able to get the vaccine from the UK in January of 2021. So it would have started done and pushed through. We got up to over 80-something% vaccination rate due to the efforts of the former Deputy Premier and myself being those ministers who pushed through. We had a bumper summer 2021. We had tourists wild. One of the best years on record for those summer months. And then we had the Delta virus that was threatening to shut the whole world down again. And what did we do? We said, okay, as a government and a cabinet, we said, listen, we're going to put in a vaccine mandate so visitors to the country must be vaccinated. Literally, we made that decision on a Wednesday, and I was sworn in as minister on a Friday before. So 4 days, my first cabinet, there's big stuff on the table. First paper to bring, dealing with those. You know what's also on the table? Making it mandatory for frontline workers. So your teachers, your police, everybody in the tourism industry, to be vaccinated. That was an option. We didn't go with that option because we said, no, we need to give our people more time to make their personal decision whether being vaccinated is right for them. That's a care in government from then. And guess what happened? We continued to far outpace our pre-COVID numbers. In October and September, November, December, all of our arrivals during that period after we would have introduced the vaccine mandate surpassed 2019 numbers. I remember right to this day, because I was the minister, so I was the front man taking my blows, doing my consultations with the taxi drivers who we helped to increase over time the amount of passengers they could have gotten. Because again, remember, 6 feet, imagine where those people would be if that amount of people, that 8,000 in and out, had to still be 6 feet apart. They'd be down by Gus Libran, right? Or chalks on, right? Or they could use that line in Wheeling to go straight Wheeling from the airport. If each of those passengers had to line up 6 feet apart, like it was back in the day, right? So we did what is required to put our country back on the right footing, and from then to now, we've just continued to get higher. Like, what is our low season? Do we have that anymore?
Still September, I would think. But,
like, it's slower, but even then, it's still like you more shut down because you want to renovate and keep your property up as opposed to gas slowing down. That's the environment we're in. So we're taking policies to make sure that the economic success of the country becomes the success of the Turks and Caicos Islanders primarily and the residents. Now, I like comparison and I like contacts. Anguilla is also a British overseas territory. Anguilla, just like the Turks and Caicos Islands, got their constitution in 1976 to get their first chief minister, etc. I mean, literally, the reason why I'm on this because I'm reading a book called, I think, Revolutionary Leadership by J. Ronald Webster, who was the first chief minister in Anguilla. Right now, Anguilla, which is 35 square miles, which is basically the size of Provo. You know how much their tourist numbers was? Yeah, slightly smaller, because we're a little bigger, but comparatively speaking. Their tourism numbers is about 150,000 or so a year. Wow. Turks and Caicos and Provo, or Turks and Caicos gets 4 to 5 to 6 times that amount. Anguilla got nice beaches. They got a direct flight from Miami. They ain't that far down the Eastern Caribbean side, but we, from the successive governments over the years, have built a product that people want. What we have, and I don't want our people to take for granted, what we have, many of our regional counterparts wish they had. We got flights from all of the eastern seaboard, from most of the Canadian major cities, or you could get the connecting flights. We got connections to Europe directly, BA, VA, right now. Other countries wish they had some of that. Yeah, crowding over there for 2 days ain't ideal. Man, yes, we know that airport wasn't adequate 5 years after it was built or remodeled.
Yep.
Right away, it's like, wait, but we just right? So you have to balance making sure you can continue to expand with this exponential growth that is taking place and make sure our primary thing, right? And I can close with our primary thing is making sure that our people are at the center of the opportunities that are created, right? Because the jokey thing, and that's why I say speak to the right thinking people of this country, the very same people that are arguing, oh, the airport is a disgrace, it's this, is that, it's too crowded, or disorganized, all of that, while we successfully move 7 to 8,000 people through that little small corridor every Saturday and Sunday, are the very same people that are casting aspersions. Oh, they want expand the airport so this set of people could get it. That persons can benefit from the airport. So you want to get a new airport, but you ain't want who you think can get the airport, but you want us get the airport. You can't have everything. We need an airport. The government has essentially, for the last 2 years, has been diligently working towards getting a preferred bidder to expand that new airport. So whether it's $350 million to $400 or $500 million that's needed to be able to expand that airport, it must be done. It must be done because, again, in earnest, when we took over, we wouldn't even know if we was going to need an airport to be expanded.
True. Just nobody
Right? Who can expand airport if they ain't know? Because, again, while the summertime was a bumper summer, best summer in record, we had Delta the same way. You had all those people during that summer. All those people could just as easily stop again because COVID, the variants keep on changing. You don't know what was going to happen. So how could you plan for doing an airport in a time of uncertainty?
Yeah.
So even the start of it, so we would have probably loved to kick off right away. As soon as we get in, all right, well, we need the airport done, boom, boom, boom. You can build an airport, you know what? You can build a house and nobody live in it. Like the projects Honorable Knowles was talking about. Who can use it? Right? Because how are we going to finance it? It's only now that we're in position to ensure we have the finances to make the type of partnerships to be able to deliver that airport. So again, the right thinking people of this country knows who the better option is, even though there ain't no other option out there yet, but they know what they have. So what we can't do is focus on the 5% that you don't like and lose the 95% that you do like.
Oh, man. Well, boy, I wish we could keep going, but
we got to end it there, you know. Got to end it there, you know. But
I just want to thank you, Honorable Deputy Premier, Honorable Minister as well, for just coming in and, you know, having this discussion with us. I know that the people want to hear so much more. We would just seem like we were just getting even more off the runway there, but you know, time is of the essence. I know you both have busy schedules as well, so you know, just want to thank you guys for coming in again. I want to thank you, the public, for listening on this episode here, March 19, 2024. That's What's Up 2.0. We're here every Tuesday, and if we aren't, we'll let you know in advance. But just want to thank you again for coming in. Great discussions. I hope that everybody got something beneficial from it. I wouldn't share their phone numbers on the air, but you know where to find them. You know where their ministries are. Yes. So definitely, if you have any further questions for these honorable ministers, you know where to find them. But thank you again, Turks and Caicos, and you have a blessed evening. That's good stuff. Cool.